This is Howard Lutnick. He is our current U.S. Secretary of Commerce for Donald Trump. He's also the CEO of financial services juggernaut Cantor Fitzgerald, which is currently being run by his two sons. Howard Lutnick is an interesting fellow. He was recently on a podcast discussing his relationship, or lack thereof, with Jeffrey Epstein.
We are in number 11, and he lives in number 9.
And it was riddled with lies. The first lie is his connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
So for starters, they were in business together. They were invested into the same company. We can see that the signature of Jeffrey Epstein's right here, as well as the signature of Howard Lutnick. We even have an FBI intake form from a whistleblower from his company that states not only was he connected with Epstein, but there was fraudulent activity going on in his charity that has to do with 9/11. Now, how does this guy have to do with 9/11? His company, Cantor Fitzgerald, suffered 658 deaths that day, almost 1/4 of the total people killed on 9/11. Now, Howard would narrowly escape the 9/11 attacks, blaming his wife for pressuring him to bring his son to their first day of kindergarten, which is interesting because we have multiple sources that say this from the nyc.gov website. The 2001-2000 school year opened citywide for high school students on Wednesday, September 5th, and elementary school the following day. He also does a lot of business with Larry Silverstein, famously the gentleman who put on a 99-year lease agreement on the Twin Towers about 2 months before the attack. Larry also built and owned World Trade 7 that he bought in 1987. Multiple executives also state that from the $135 million payout that was given by American Airlines, that Mr. Lutnick pocketed anywhere between 15 to 25 million of those dollars for himself. But we're not even close to done on this guy, because his sons that are currently running Cantor Fitzgerald are the ones who actually bet against the very tariffs that Mr. Lutnick is involved with Donald Trump. Cantor Fitzgerald and co. say that they have the capacity to buy the rights to hundreds of millions of dollars in potential refunds from companies who have paid Trump's tariffs. And since the Supreme Court recently ruled against these specific types of tariffs, Cantor is set to profit about 3 to 5x, around $10 million on this investment. And he and his sons have remained completely silent on it. Now, in the same interview where he says, "I'm never going to do business with this man, he's gross."
It's gross. The guy's gross. Right with my wife. He's gross. The guy's gross.
He also mentions that he bought a property in 1998 that happened to be next door to Jeffrey Epstein, officially moving in 2005.
So we rebuild our house. We move in 2005.
But this is yet another lie simply by omission, because he knows exactly who he bought that property from, and the fact that he didn't truly buy it because he didn't buy it at market value. In 1988, Sam Conversion Corp., formed by Les Wexner, buys 11 East 71st Street. Here's the deed between Sam Conversion Corp., written out for 1988. In 1992, the home was transferred to a trust named 11 East 71st Street, the property address, and that trust was run by Jeffrey Epstein. December 1992, Jeffrey Epstein, trustee of the 11 East 71st Street Trust, being transferred in consideration for $10, and here's the address of the property. And it just so happens that the address for Sam Conversion and for Jeffrey Epstein's trust of 11 East 71st Street is the same exact address listed on the Limited Incorporated, which is the corporation that owns Victoria's Secret, run by Les Wexner. Then 1996, the Comet Trust buys the property. The Comet Trust, which the main trustee for that was a man by the name of Guido Goldman. Guido Goldman's father was the co-founder of the World Jewish Congress and president of the World Zionist Organization. But from the Comet Trust, it would then be transferred to Howard Lutnick for $10. Here's the address, here's the $10, and here we can see Guido Goldman of the Comet Trust going to Howard Lutnick, the home right next to Jeffrey Epstein's. He also claimed in this podcast that he only met him that one time at his property for a home tour.
Your neighbor would like to invite you over for coffee. And he opens the doors, and there's a massage table in the middle of the room. And then he gets weirdly close to me. And he says, "And the right kind of massage."
But that story doesn't match up with the files, because in 2009, he wanted to speak with Jeffrey Epstein. In 2011, here's an email saying he needs to return your call. In 2011, also, they scheduled some drinks, and here's the confirmation that those drinks actually happened. Then they go to the actual island. And the island email is very interesting because it was actually sent by his wife.
Now, my wife is standing here. So she looks at me, and I look at her, and we say, "I'm sorry. We have to go." My wife and I decide that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
December 21st, 2012, Allison Lutwick sends an email to organize a meeting on Pedo Island. Also claimed no philanthropy efforts with Epstein.
So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy.
For $2,700 per person, you get a photo with Hillary. And Lutwick went ahead and invited Epstein to this fundraiser in 2015. Again in 2017, another dinner. And what does Epstein do? Let's give him $50K for it. It's for Howard. And the sister of Howard Lutnick, Edie Lutnick, was one of the founding citizens of Terramar. Terramar being a philanthropy, quote-unquote, project that was run by Ghislaine Maxwell. Fergie, seen here with Ghislaine Maxwell, is the ex-wife of Prince Andrew. She owed Epstein money. She had emails saying, "My love and gratitude for you. You're the brother I always wished for." Now, Howard knew Fergie, and to my understanding, they're still close because Fergie still follows Howard on Instagram. And Howard, only following 146 people, also follows Sarah. They're mutuals. Sarah frequented the World Trade Center, with floors 101 to 105 being where Cantor Fitzgerald was housed. And Miss Fergie here was supposed to be in World Trade Center 1 on the morning of September 11, 2001 at the 101st floor, but happened to not make it due to traffic. Here's another email with Epstein discussing Cantor Fitzgerald and Mr. T, whoever that is. Was able to find the term sheet they're referencing in that email. Again, Mr. T. And after stating he had no contact with him after this one meeting, not only did he go to the island, they were also talking as late as 2018. In an email subjected Frick, Howard Lutnick says to Jeffrey Epstein, "Are you aware as to them building to block our park views? What should we do about it?" Even though the "to" is redacted, we're able to find the other email, and in his very long-handed communication style says, "No, I was not." And then we found the article for the Frick property they were discussing that was going to potentially block their view.
Yeah, that's my story. A one and absolutely done.
Howard Lutnick has historically used his powerful positions for financial gain, and by any standard, he is a liar. And one of the many liars that dwell within this den of corruption that we are slowly mapping out throughout the United States.
Over a 14-year period, I did not have any relationship with him. I barely had anything to do with that person, okay?